And again, get the alternator off the 6125, rebuild that, disconnect the battery first, which is conveniently located under the steps. Pop the hood. Gotta say, they did make the side panels easy to come off. I can do it one-handed while recording with a GoPro. Pop that forward a little bit. That one out. And that one comes out. There, get the serpentine belt off. That one, take the 3/8. Feels like it. You just put a 3/8 ratchet or breaker bar or whatever you got in there. I gotta say, I like those serpentine belts with the tensioner. You know, your belt's always tight, easy to take on and off. Let's see, some of this stuff is metric because everything on a Cummins is metric. Pull that plug. I'm trying to remember if stuff on the alternator, not the first time I've had her off. There are definitely lots of videos out there on YouTube for rebuilding alternators. This is a Delco 15SI. Videos by people more experienced and knowledgeable about it than me, but I thought, what the heck. A lot of times it's just a diode or a rectifier. Shoot, you can get a kit off from eBay for around 25 bucks. The parts ain't that hard to change out. First time this failed. I think the big problem with the 6125 and alternator is all those incandescent lights. When you're out in the field and revved up, the alternator does fine, but when you're doing something like we are, hauling wagons and you're sitting there dumping, you got the lights on so you can see, but the tractor's idling, it just puts too much of a load on the alternator, and the voltage regulator or diodes or something gives up the ghost from being overworked. So the first time I took it out, I took it to a alternator shop that shall remain nameless. It didn't work very long before it started acting up again, so I thought I'd open it up, and I could see from the dust and dirt on parts that they had not replaced everything in there and charged me an arm and a leg to do it. And I mean everything like, you know, the all these parts that come in the kit. So let's see. That feels good. That bearing feels good. Turn smooth, no wiggle in it. I think I'll just leave that one alone. So first thing I gotta do is get those 3 nuts down in here out so I can get the I believe that's the field. Get this doohickey out. Oh, those probably ain't the same size. Nope. I'm guessing 3/8. Yes. Or maybe 11/32. Yes, that's the size. Or maybe it's metric. And to solve my problem with the charging system and all the lights, I am gonna switch the rest of I've done the headlights, but I'm gonna switch the rest of the lights on the cab over to LEDs to cut down on the draw. So this should carefully wiggle up out of there. There we go. Don't want to scratch any of the insulation off. Be careful of that thing. Oops, so let's see. I think we are back to, nope, that might be smaller than 5/16. Those might be 1/4 inch. Even that might be too big. Well, the insulator that's on a screw kind of makes it tough to get my nut driver on there. Yeah, so you can see the insulator that's on that screw, and the insulator that's on that screw. Now the diodes should come off, and oh, I do have to take this screw off yet. There we go. The brushes. Let's see. I believe this is the regulator. We'll call it a doohickey. And down in here is a capacitor, and it just hooks to the positive side of the bridge rectifier, and it just its only purpose is just to cut down on noise, like on your radio and other equipment. It would work without it, so we're not even taking that out because we'll leave it in there. 7/16. This is the back side of the post that comes out that your battery terminal or heavy wire goes to. And I do believe I got one more screw to take out here. And boom, there's that part. And there's that post. I think I might push that bearing out. The kit did come with a new bearing. At least change that one out. But we're all disassembled. Clean this out, blow out the dust, and swap out that bearing and start going back together. I thought I'd do this, first I thought I'd do it in a press, but not everybody's got a press, so you want to support the back of the housing so you're not stressing the outer part. So I just get a socket that's big enough for that bearing to, here's the new bearing, it'll fit in this socket. The socket's big enough to support the surface. Then I get another socket Another socket that's big enough to get the bearing. It's starting to come. There. There's the old bearing. Feels pretty good. I'll blow this thing out, get it good and cleaned up. I'm gonna drive her back in, but I'm using this is a 15/16 socket to go in there and support that housing again. I don't want to be pushing on the outer part. It's aluminum. It'll bust her up in no time. So that whole housing's being supported by this, so I'm not putting any stress on the outer part. Here's the new bearing. Give it a little tap to start it. Looks like I need a slightly larger socket. There, I like that. 19 millimeter. I just got the outer bearing edge flush with the housing, which is what the old one was. It looks like my depth is pretty cromulent. So now we just start putting pieces back in. Let's see, this insulator here, it did come with a new one, but this one's in really good shape. I'm not going to try to force it out of there. So, let's see where to go. New rectifier. You'll notice it's got this plastic on the back to help insulate it from the housing. And then this part touches a screw up here, but this thing is, you'll notice there's also an insulator here and here. Essentially, this is your positive half here and your negative half here. So this half does want to touch the ground. This half does not. Ground being the frame. So see, will you use the old stud? It looks like brand new. Get that started. That one just screws in, so we can tighten this. And then tighten this. Try to keep all the old parts separated from the new parts, because honestly, they look the same, which they should, but you can't just look at them and say, oh, that one's good and that one's bad. I'm sure you can test them, but okay. So that is in. These nuts off from here. So this piece here comes a little rod to hold the brushes back when you're ready to install. And helps if you put it in facing the right direction. Like that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's got this little cap that needs to come out because that one screw went in there. That's just to keep pieces from falling off during shipment. Let's see, we got this extra that didn't come with a kit. We'll just spin that down a little bit. Not going to tighten it yet, because I got to get the other bolts in. And now watch, I'll probably have to pull it back out, because this third connector did not come with the kit, so I have to transfer it over. There it goes. Yep, I gotta pull that back out. Oh, I stand corrected. It did come with a kit. Oh well, this one's in excellent shape. I think they don't pre-install it because it just depends on your application. Some alternators only have the 2 wires up top, some have 3. And did I bend it? I must have. Okay, now I can put that bolt in there. Once I find the hole, there you go. Spin that down a little bit. Let's see. Gotta get my diode in there. Insulated screw. I do believe I need the regular screw for this one down here. And then another insulated screw for this one right here. spin that down, spin this one down. I like to get all my bolts started at least before I tighten things up, in case I got to wiggle it a little bit to get them to start. So they're all started. I can now snug them up. Click. That's my torque wrench. Click. Click. All right. So all the offending parts are over there. I'm going to go ahead and stick this rod in before I put the field back on. There's a hole in the back here. You just hold the brushes down with your finger, and then you can stick through, and it comes through right there. And then when you slide things together, these are held back away from, yeah, they're held back away from this surface here. And then when you're done, you got her together, you pull that out, and it boop, boop, lets the brushes go against it. So I'll put that back in again. That's it. The only purpose of that little rod in there. Okay, so before I can put these nuts back on, gotta get this baby in place. That slid right in nice. So put a nut there. Nut there. Nut there. Oh, let's see. And snug them up with a ratchet. Check that main power stud one more time. Yeah, that's good and tight. So then I just got to index it right, or clock it correctly. So this here where the terminals go, that was facing up, because you can basically put this in 4 different positions, and it's going to be in the same on the motor because it's got the motor mounts where it mounts to the engine. And so that changes where the wires are on the back if you don't have it clocked right. And let's see, the long bolt went through the top, so she should just go like so. Oop, get in there. I think my little pusher finger, I think my little brush holder was sticking up just too far. Everything else should be missing. So there. get some screws in it before I pull this pin out of the back. There they are. Oops, and they go through the other direction. I knew that. Yep, number 5/16, and somehow or another I have misplaced my 5/16 nut driver. I use that all the time. That's probably how it got misplaced. Maybe this one. There we go. I'm gonna pull the wire, let the brushes fall into place. Finish snugging up these bolts, and she should be done. There, go back on the tractor now. There, just need to get the belt back on. Boy, it's getting a time for a new one of those. I'll put this one back on for now, but I better get a new one coming. Now for the moment of truth. Let's go fire it up, see if it charges. The GoPro died. I'll make this part with my phone, but we're gonna see if she charges. Ain't good. So after I did all that, it still didn't charge. I got the good old book out and tested all the pieces, parts. Everything seemed to check out fine. And it does say in here somewhere that the winding on the outside, also called the stator, it can be hard to test and takes laboratory equipment, I believe was the... However, focus, darn you. If all other electrical checks are normal and the alternator fails to supply rated output, shorted stator windings are indicated. Also, a shorted stator can cause the indicator lamp to be on when the engine at low speed. A short circuit in the stator windings is difficult to locate without laboratory test equipment due to low resistance of the windings. So, I'm assuming I'll know shortly here. I'm going to fire it up. But I got on the internet and through Amazon, got a brand new one for 85 bucks delivered. Figured worst comes to worst, I will have a spare one, which ain't all a bad thing. But we'll fire it up here in just a moment and see if it really charges. Of course, the batteries are starting to give up the ghost. And I want to crank over and did some testing, and this one here is not taking a charge. This one still seems to have some amps to it. Well, I put the load tester on, but then again, these batteries were put in June of 2011. So they made it all the way to November of 2020. I'm pretty happy with that. It's time for them to go. I'm sure they didn't help the alternator situation anyways. I noticed it kind of struggled a little bit when I was cranking when we were using it. Figured they weren't much longer for this world. Well, that fixed it. I had to rob a battery out of one of the Olivers to get it started. Them two just, they bought the farm. Woo! New LEDs are bright. Cool beans. Well, when all else fails, if you can't rebuild it, replace it. I kind of cut my finger getting the battery out of the 66 to put in here. But hey, thanks again for watching.